You'll never believe me when I say this, but I swear to God, the smell of diesel fuel still makes me sick. Not because I worked at the truck stop for 12 years, or because my old Chevy ran on fumes half its life. No, it's because of what happened that Halloween night back in 2013, out near the old Highway 81, north of Enid. I saw something that wasn't supernatural. No ghosts, no demons, just people. And that's what makes it worse. I was 31 then, divorced, drinking too much, working night shifts at the Love's gas station outside town. My Halloween plans were a 6-pack of Coors and some leftover chili in a plastic tub. But around 7 that evening, a guy named Travis came in, a regular, trucker, big belly, thick mustache, the type who calls everyone brother. He told me there'd been an accident a few miles north, near an abandoned farmhouse. Bunch of kids went out there for Halloween, he said, but the cops are blocking the road. I asked him what happened. He said, "Something bad, real bad. They ain't letting nobody close." The farmhouse he was talking about, everyone knew it. Old Miller place, white paint peeled off decades ago, windows broken, porch sagging like a broken jaw. Locals said a farmer hanged himself in the barn back in the 70s. I never cared much for ghost stories, but that house had a way of getting under your skin when you drove past at night. I clocked out early. Call it curiosity, call it boredom, but I drove out there, an hour before midnight, the road slick with cold drizzle. There were no police cars, no flashing lights, no sign of any accident. Just fog, and the faint orange flicker of jack-o'-lanterns lined up along the gravel road. At first I thought some kids had done it for a prank, 20, maybe 30 carved pumpkins, each one glowing dimly with candlelight, placed every 10 feet. The closer I got, the more I noticed they weren't store-bought pumpkins. They were old, soft, rotten, the kind that smell like vinegar and death. My headlights caught a figure standing near the fence. I slowed down. It was a man in coveralls, holding a lantern. He didn't move when I stopped. "Hey!" I called out through the open window. He turned his head slowly like it hurt to do it. His face was shadowed, but I could make out something wet glistening on his cheek. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice rough and quiet. "They're still looking." "Who?" I asked. He just walked into the fog and was gone. I parked by the ditch and got out. The air smelled of wet hay, diesel, and that sour pumpkin rot. The farmhouse loomed ahead, dark and silent, except for the squeak of the windmill turning. And then I saw the truck. It was an old Ford F-250, mud-caked, one door open, engine still ticking. There were candy wrappers scattered on the ground and a half-empty bottle of Fireball whiskey on the seat. No people. Just that sense, the one your gut gives you, that something had gone terribly wrong. I should have turned back. God, I wish I had. But I walked toward the barn. The door hung crooked, banging softly in the wind. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of gasoline. Not gas, diesel. I knew the difference. There were wet footprints on the concrete floor leading toward the back, and in the corner, under a broken loft, lay 3 pumpkin heads, each one carved with the same face, uneven triangle eyes, jagged mouth. They weren't sitting on the ground. They were mounted on fence posts, with something dark running down the wood. I don't know why, but I called out, "Hello?" And I heard something move upstairs. I climbed the ladder, careful not to make a sound. The boards creaked. There was a light, a flashlight, flickering weakly near a pile of blankets, and under those blankets, a shape. When I pulled the blanket back, I saw a young guy, maybe 19, maybe 20. His throat was cut, but not deep. He'd bled out slowly. His eyes were open. There was writing on his shirt in black marker. Tricked you. I stumbled back, almost fell through the hole in the floor. My stomach lurched. The flashlight died right then, like it ran out of courage. Below me, I heard boots scraping concrete. Someone was walking inside the barn. I crouched near the rafters, holding my breath. A man came in, not the same one I'd seen on the road. This one was bigger, maybe 50, in a denim jacket. He had a jerry can in one hand and a cigarette in the other. He walked to the fence posts, looked at the pumpkins, and said softly, almost like he was praying, 3 done, 2 more to go. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. He poured diesel across the floor, muttering to himself something about cleansing. Then he lit the match. The flame caught slow but steady, crawling along the wet floor like a living thing. I jumped from the loft, hit the dirt hard, rolled under the wall crack, and ran like hell. The fire spread fast, too fast, thick black smoke rising behind me. I reached my truck and looked back. The whole barn was burning, pumpkins melting into black puddles. I saw the man step out, his clothes on fire, but he didn't scream. He just stood there, arms out, as if offering himself to it. And he fell. I drove to the sheriff's office in Enid, shaking so bad I could barely turn the key. They found 2 more bodies in the ashes the next morning. The boy I saw, and another kid, maybe a girl. The third was burned beyond recognition. They never found the man I saw at the fence. The sheriff told me later the farmhouse had been occupied back in the 90s by a guy named Lyle Bowman, a farmhand fired from the grain elevator for stealing fuel. His son died in a tractor accident one Halloween. Lyle disappeared a week later. Some said he went crazy. Others said he moved to Kansas. But the property stayed empty until that night. For weeks I couldn't sleep. I kept smelling that diesel, even when there was none. Once I woke up and found a pumpkin on my porch, not carved, just sitting there. Wet mud clung to its bottom, like it had been taken from the field. No one admitted leaving it. A year later, I drove past the old place again. It was gone, burned to the foundation. The county cleared the land, nothing left but scorched earth and weeds. And yet every Halloween since, someone lines that stretch of road with jack-o'-lanterns, not new ones, old, rotten, like before. Nobody ever admits doing it. I don't tell this story much anymore. Folks either laugh or call it small-town gossip. But when the nights get cold and I smell diesel on the air, I remember the sound of that man's boots on the barn floor. And I remember what he said. 3 done, 2 more to go. I don't know if he meant the kids or if he meant something else.